What up? It's your boy Big Vern coming to you live from the App Stupid Studios on the App Stupid Podcast. App like you got some sense, and smash the like and subscribe button. Gonna come to you with a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend. Want to talk some Big Ten basketball. I want to talk some Mountain West basketball and Utah State and the phenomenal season that they're having. Also, I want to go over Jacksonville and what went wrong, how a team collapsed on itself, and where do you go from here if you're a Jackson Jaguar fan. But I'm going to go ahead and start in the Big Ten. Being that we're going to start in the Big Ten, I want to talk about Indiana. Now, it's no secret to everybody that I am an Indiana fan. I'm a buff. That's just what I do. To the good people in Bloomington, got a quick question for you. And that is asking, is Mike Woodson an early candidate for the Coach of the Year? And if you're going to ask me, in my unbiased opinion, I would say Mike Woodson, he is hands down doing a phenomenal job considering what Indiana lost. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we come back from an unofficial sponsor break. Yes, Burger King, home of the Whopper. Have it your way. Visit your good folks at the local Burger King. Download the app or order online. BK, have it your way. Okay, so back to Mike Woodson and the job that he is doing right now with the Indiana Hoosiers. They defeated Ohio State yesterday, 71-65. It was a very hard-fought game, and respect to the Ohio State Buckeye Nation, you'll be back. The defense bothered OSU down the stretch, and I mean, it was evident when you look at the stat sheet because they went 25 of 69 from the field for 36%. That's awful. I mean, 62 shots, and well, 69. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 69, almost 70 shots a game. I mean, you all put the ball up a ton. Now, I will tell you this: 4 out, 1 in, 5 out, none in. That European offense and kicking it around the perimeter and finding the open man to knock down a shot. Now, you have some unserious basketball people. They will tell you that that is a fundamentally bad. Well, they would tell you that that is a good shot. And if you penetrate to the hole and get the layup and get the old-fashioned three-point play, that somehow is criticized. Anyway, Ohio State 7 for 27 from the three-point land. That's shooting way too many threes. And for those people who don't understand basketball, when you have a situation where you're getting out rebounded on the boards, if you got a streak shooter on your team, the streak shooter is he's got to get into rhythm. He's got to establish rhythm, whether he's taking it off the pass or he's creating his own dribble drive, picking pops. He's creating his own offense. But when you disrupt the 3-point line, that can be your biggest adversary when the games get tight, because you live by the 3, you die by the 3. Ohio State had a solid night at the free throw line. They went 8 of 9 for 89%. They were playing lights out from the free throw line. The clinic that they got taken to school for, again, you got the offensive boards. They got beat on the 23 of those, and then the defensive boards, one and done shots, 27 of those. Indiana limited Ohio State to really being a one-trick pony. If they couldn't get the three-pointer to fall, then nothing was falling inside the arc. And that's how you defend in this modern day of basketball, because more people have utilized the between the legs step back with a three-point shot instead of imposing your will, beating up guys down low, or taking somebody off the dribble to your more dominant leg and getting to your spot on the floor. And like I said, you see that from the AAU side all the way up to the college ranks, and basically nobody cares how great your defense is when you can't rebound and you can't convert 23 second chance points. So just to paint you another stark picture, how crazy that is. So if you only made half of those shots, then and that's just let's just assume that those are all field goals in and around the paint and the mid post, and that's 23 points on the board right then and there. That could have been the difference in this game. And I remember I was sitting and I was talking to my wife, and I was telling her, if this game was played anywhere else other than in Bloomington, I think Indiana loses that game, which that goes to speak to the greatness of Mike Woodson. And again, just to sing the man's praises, Mike Woodson right now, for his career, he's got 643% winning percentage. And that's from 2021 on up to right now. He's fourth in the Big Ten, 11-4 overall, 3-1 in the conference. Considering that he lost Trace Jackson Davis and Hood Schifino, and he's lost so much and had to replenish guys, he himself is doing a knockout job, drawing up the X's and O's, coming back, getting guys engaged, and Indiana playing as hard as they can play. I will go into that a little bit more in detail after we come back from another quick break from an unofficial sponsor of the show. Oh, all right. So at home this year, Indiana is 9-1. They've got that record. They're 1-1 on the road. Again, as I reiterated in the last segment, if this game was in Columbus, Indiana would have lost, and Ohio State would have had a knockout night. Now, the next four games from Indiana: Rutgers, Minnesota, Purdue, Wisconsin. 3 of the 4 are ahead of Indiana in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is such a tightly contested conference. You could lose one game and then be at the bottom of the heap or the midway through the conference. Because right now, Wisconsin, they're the number 1 team in the Big Ten. Number 21 ranked nationally. 8-1 at home. And that's a trap game for Indiana. And what do I mean by trap game? Trap games are you come off a big game, emotions are riding high, you didn't care about draining yourself, you were in the moment, and then you've got a game perceived by a lesser opponent. And that lesser opponent is licking their chops because they want to go ahead and get the win so it can jumpstart them in their season or reinvigorate the guys on the bench. And the reason why I call it a trap game is that they would be playing Wisconsin, the number 1 team in the Big Ten, coming off a Purdue game in Bloomington. So you're going to be playing your arch rivals. It's going to be emotional because you have Indiana kids involved in this rivalry. Purdue doesn't like Indiana. The good folks of Lafayette can attest to this. Bloomington really doesn't care for Purdue. And so those battle lines have been drawn. Minnesota, great game today. Minnesota and Maryland, they edged it out and beat Maryland. The Golden Gophers, they are right now at this point, they leapfrogged Ohio State. And being 1-1 on the road, that's what gives me a little bit more confident that the Hoosiers would knock off Minnesota, because Minnesota is a 50-50 club on the road. That's a home game for Indiana. And I like that. Rutgers, that's another home game. They're the worst team in the Big Ten currently right now. Like I said, they should wipe the floor with Rutgers. There's no need to expound on that. Rutgers is just a struggling program. Again, the Purdue, that's a rivalry. And like I said, all breaks are off. Purdue could get upset by Nebraska. That's the game you want to go ahead and keep your eyes on, because Nebraska, they will give you a game. And that game is in Nebraska. So can the Boilermakers beat down the Cornhuskers, or will the Cornhuskers wear down the Boilermakers to where they come into Bloomington licking their wounds? And again, Mike Woodson is able to capitalize. There's no definite star on this Indiana team. And the cliche goes that as long as they're playing together and they're gelling together, it's going to be very hard to stop a team like that. Now, granted, they got some pieces out of the portal. The recruiting class next year looks really strong. We don't want to jump and get ahead of ourselves. But right now, for what Mike Woodson is able to pull off in Bloomington, has Coach of the Year implications all over it. And he's one of the coaches that I'll highlight as we look to cut more content and go forward. But again, by the time the Big Ten tournament rolls around, we would have a full comprehensive look at what Michigan will be. We will have a look at what Purdue is. We will also understand more about Indiana and the surprise teams that are crashing the dance. Illinois. Northwestern is a hard game. Northwestern used to be a gimme game. It's not a gimme game anymore. You don't know what Maryland team you're going to get when Maryland starts to travel on the road. I think Penn State is a dangerous team. As the Big Ten exists is what it is now. But again, Mike Woodson is on the radar for Coach of the Year. He's one of them. And I put out my own coaching because it's, like I said, we go by who's in the coaching tree and who's in the coaching tree, who's on the staff, and what you're able to do with the talent that you have sitting in those seats on game day. Like I said, it's a busy Monday morning, recapping everything that happened, talk about the week that was, talk about another Mike Tomlinson this time, do some double dutch in NFL, two great stories. One of miraculous wonder, another Coach of the Year kind of candidate, and I know he won't get it, but Mike Tomlinson with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback was able to coach themselves into getting into the playoffs. Phenomenal job. Give him all the love and respect he is due. Also, got some Mountain West basketball we want to talk, but this is Big Vern, and I'll be